This is part 2 of my review of the Apple Watch Ultra, and you can see here demonstrated my favourite strap, which is from the previous model. The advantage being that you can put your hand through there, put your fingers through there, pull it on and off your wrist without fear of dropping it. Now here at the end, this plastic bit at the end, if you've got trouble with your fingers at all, like I have, due to arthritis, you can just grip that more easily and pull it through. Something that the straps that come with the watch, the standard equipment, don't have. There is a similar strap to this, but it's got a tag at the end that you've got to grip and pull, which might be a problem if you can't put a lot of pressure on your fingers anymore. So many different functions. For example, remember back in the 1950s and 60s, or perhaps the 70s, if you did that sort of thing, you'd play with excuse me, friends, and you've got your homemade walkie-talkie in poverty West Yorkshire. Certainly in the 1950s, when I was at school, there wasn't any money around, and there wasn't any technology either, really. It was back in the day of the old valve radios, even before transistors came into radios. So around 1955, 56, we'd be kids in the field. We'd have 2 tin cans, and we'd have a length of string stretched between them, depending on how much string you had, but perhaps 50 yards. You could press the tin can to your ear, your friend would talk into the other one, and that would be a walkie-talkie. It would be fun for a few minutes to do that, and you wondered what technology would bring in the future, perhaps, especially if you bought some of those American comics that were up for sale on the market, Superman and so on. Was it Flash Gordon? And there was someone who was able to talk into his device that he had fastened to his wrist. Well, with this watch, if you were to buy a Logitech Circle View camera from security camera from Apple, and something like a HomePod that sort of controls it, that then connects to your router. But in effect, you could wear this watch in Australia and monitor your own house back home through the camera. You could see your dog walking in the garden, get an alert on the watch, and say the animal detected. Certainly you get an alert through on your phone. I'm not sure about the watch. And then on the watch, you can click on the Home app and see your installed camera. There's a microphone on there. You just hold that microphone down and shout, "Hey Rover, get off the flower bed." The sound then would come out of your your security camera, which you've got fastened under the guttering of the house, under the boards there, where it's away from the bad weather. I don't think that's an incredible thing. Whether you'd actually do that or not is another thing entirely, but the fact that it's possible to do it. I mean, if we go on holiday somewhere long distance, you can see your house is okay through your actual watch that's on your wrist. You can be sat having a coffee with someone in a coffee bar in Australia and just check that your house is okay from the watch. Incredible. So there's so many other things. I mean, I haven't even mentioned the main things that the watch sells on. As it sells on adventure, basically, don't you think? That you're going to go scuba diving, perhaps, and it's got all those sort of features for being underwater and diving. Also, if you're going to do a triathlon and so on, it's got all of that kit. But my point in these 2 videos I'm making on the Apple Watch is that, if, for example, you're an older person or you're a person that doesn't undertake that sort of thing, there's still a lot of value in having this. The main thing being that great big speaker there. I mean, there's a speaker in there, and it's so loud. As I said before in the previous part, it's up your sleeve. Look at that. The iPhone's brilliant at focusing in on that. You can almost see inside it, can't you? Which isn't there on the previous Apple watches. I'm not sure how I would improve on this, really. I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job. Any other features that I use on this? Well, I use the running app sometimes. You can check how many calories you're eating and so on. All very useful. But the main thing is, the fact that it's an amazing bit of technology on your wrist. I'd perhaps keep it for about 3 years, something like that. What would you do? Would you sort of buy a watch and pass it on as a heirloom, a Swiss watch or something? I don't know really. I used to have all that sort of stuff a long time ago. I've given it all away. I remember back in 1955 or something, encountering my grandfather's watch that who was deceased at that point, and it came into my father's care. No idea where that is now, it's just gone somewhere. But back in the day, back in say 1900, we're talking about 120 years ago now, he had a pocket watch. I mean, this is in grim and grimy West Yorkshire. Well, much of the UK was like that, certainly the north of England. Those great big chimneys belching out smoke from the factories, and hooters would go off signalling the end of the working day. It became important for people to have personal timepieces. We'd have a pocket watch tucked away. Had to be tucked away because of what I used to do. I worked in a brewery as a labourer, wheeling around those gigantic casks of beer. If you remember what they were like, they were enormous things, much bigger than the steel beer casks of today. And they would all meet up after work, and they got their pocket watches and made in various places, some of them locally around here. That was the technology of their day, and things get passed forward. Sentimental value attached to that, but do you really buy something like a Swiss watch, pass it on? Probably only ends up in a drawer if you pass it on. As I say, that who knows where that pocket watch is that we used to have. So I'm not into that. I'm into sort of buying the latest technology, having fun with it. It's very much a toy to me, much like my grandfather's pocket watch was to him. 49mm titanium and ceramic case. This is about the only product that I took out AppleCare Plus on. And it was £99, I think, for 2 years of cover. I'm not into insurance at all, to be honest. House insurance, of course, but unnecessary insurance. Some people insure everything, don't they? That's not me. It's just it's just a personal choice. You buy an iPhone, you put that in your pocket. It's got a screen protector on. Straight away I put a screen protector on the iPhone and then put it in a case. With this it's more difficult, and if you tap that on something, and it's a sapphire crystal, it's hard and less scratchable than glass, allegedly. But if you give it a good tap hard enough, it'll shatter, won't it? If it's a hard enough tap, and at that point the repair is £500. A lot of money, isn't it? But there's also a peace of mind behind it as well, because how can you wear it if you catch it on a doorknob or something and it does shatter, knowing it's a £500? So perhaps as an extreme one-off, I took out AppleCare Plus on it. I don't anticipate breaking it, but who knows? So that's the Apple Watch Ultra with all its many exciting functions. I think you'd never lose interest in this, to be honest. All the different things that it does, because that's something else with watches, isn't it? I'm talking about now about response habituation. Response habituation. How you get used to things. That's what I mean. The first time you do anything. For me, it was the first trip down to London. It was absolutely magical. I went on a motorcycle age 16, and it seemed, hub of the world. It was incredible. Nothing ever lived up to that again, wherever I went. First experiences. So let's say you buy a, top of the range Swiss watch and it looks fantastic in the shop window. It's one thing if that's purchased, I think, as an investment, and if it's stored away without a mark or a scratch on it, it will then perhaps appreciate in value. I mean, certainly an Omega Speedmaster that I bought in 1980 for £300, one of the original ones, the Moon Watch, now retails at around £6,000. I don't think that's even got the original movement in it. I'm not sure about that. But if you were to lock that away for, 42 years or something, but I mean, who really wants to do that? You'd think the safer investment would be in property, of course, wouldn't you? But to buy something like this, you're really accepting that it's a time-limited toy. Maybe you could keep this going for 5 years or more. Apple gives updates for that period of time about, don't they, or perhaps longer. But new things come along. Use all the functions on it. But the response habituation, my point being that response habituation, I don't think it will set in. I don't think you can become bored with this. As let's face it, when you buy a conventional watch, that's it. I mean, it's exciting when you look at it, but that excitement diminishes day by day. It's a natural thing, isn't it? You get over things in life. You have a very unfortunate loss, and time thankfully tempers that loss to some degree, although it's always there. There's a slight tempering of that, and it's the same with excitement about things, don't you think? I think of the first time you went abroad, perhaps on holiday, how exciting that was, and how later in life, how that is diminished. You still enjoy doing things just as much, but you don't get the same incredible buzz that sort of raises your heartbeat, do you? Many years on, when you're doing something similar again. So you need something that refreshes the experience to maintain a sort of a buzz, or a stop response habituation setting in my view. So this has so many functions on it, so many different things, so many different aspects to it. There's always something new. It's probably at least got 100 different things you can do with it. Now that's how it seems to me. Unlike if you put a conventional watch on, you look at the watch face. Let's imagine it's a beautiful, very expensive Swiss watch, and it's got a beautiful face on the watch, that's cost a lot of money to, not necessarily to make, but a lot of money to buy. I mean, that's the most buzz you're going to get out of it, and every day from then on, I think, to me, it seems as though that, from my life experience, that the response to it and excitement about it would diminish, and I don't think it will with this. But you're talking about something more time limited with this anyway, aren't you? That's not necessarily a bad thing, because technology is improving so rapidly, isn't it? I mean, right now in America, apparently the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are due to get satellite connectivity later on in the year. So you could imagine that coming to the Apple Watch Ultra in a year or two's time, perhaps, couldn't you? So there are always new things, but there are so many things in this watch to make it, a continuing interest. So that's about it. That's part 2 of the Apple Watch Ultra review. Hope you enjoyed me rambling about that. There's perhaps a slightly different angle, aimed more at, how you could do things with a watch like this if you're in your 70s like I am. Get a lot of excitement and fun out of it. I'll just say at this point though, you get a lot more out of it if you bought into the Apple ecosystem. You need the watch, but you also need the phone. So you need the iPhone to go along with it, because it's sort of dependent on that to some extent, although you can do cellular on it. You need an iPhone with it. I mean, my view is you need some other Apple kit as well, not necessarily things like a Mac or anything really expensive like that, but those cameras are good. The ones I mentioned, the Logitech Circle View cameras, the HomePod is a good, relatively cheap thing to act as a controller for that, and you get a little bit more out of it if you bought some of the accessories. I mean, certainly we've got the Withings scale that we use. But that's But that's about it. You don't, in my view, have to go any further into it like that. I mean, who needs a computer these days anyway? I do it all on the iPhone. Everything I've done, all of these videos that I've made have been made on an iPhone, edited on an iPhone with apps. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did enjoy it, if you could just give me a like, I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much, and bye now.